What is a situation you have almost no sympathy with? When a parent abuses their child so much that their child eventually grows up and disowns them. I especially don't care when the parent then has no one to care for them in their old age. People who always twist things around to victimize themselves. People who buy designer dogs from puppy mills then complain about the vet bills for the breed's well-known hereditary issues. People who are suddenly held accountable for their actions when they thought they would get away with whatever it was. I cheated on my wife and now she left me, boohoo sir. Had a friend whose boyfriend cheated on her like 5 times in 2 years. Always calling me at 3 a.m. crying, calling him names, and saying she is dumping him. She ended up marrying him and the first phone call I got I hung up. You married the fool, you deal with it and quit waking me up. Animal neglect and cruelty. Absolutely no sympathy for me. My sister-in-law has walked out of half a dozen jobs in as many months and now is having trouble getting hired. I used to prepare her resume for her, but I'm not anymore. I can't polish a turd. Parents who don't discipline their children for poor behavior and then complain about how the whole world is against little Billy Bob for doing normal childhood antics, read, crimes. Also parents who use an iPad to babysit and then complain that their child has no attention span and has meltdowns when they take it away. Someone who is abusive. I can understand that people like that were probably harmed at some point in life, but that doesn't excuse maliciously using and abusing people around you. Weaponized incompetence. Someone who started their relationship with a married person, or a person in a long-term relationship, getting treated disrespectfully / being dumped. Cheaters, relationship, being exposed / confronted about their behavior. Men who insist on not using condoms, who are shocked Pikachu face when the woman becomes pregnant. My ex. She's been divorced 3 times, is in court battles with all 3. Gets her kid taken away until she could prove she was mentally competent. Cries victim in every single situation that doesn't go her way. Struggles financially all the time but without ever getting an actual job. And refuses to admit any of this is her fault in any way whatsoever. I have no sympathy for people like this. Rude to retail worker, like I might have waived the fees if you were nice, but you weren't, so 40-22. Bullfighters, getting gored. Maybe you shouldn't have decided to torture an animal for entertainment. People who chose drugs over their children. I am a victim of this. Because my mother was a heroin addict and my father died when I was a toddler, I was a victim of every type of abuse known to man. I was never safe, I was always hungry and sick, and I was always humiliated by her actions. The other kids and their parents knew she was an addict, so they were not allowed to be friends with me. My only Christmas memory was her being high, falling and knocking down the Christmas tree. When hurt people is used to justify bullying. I will not give a bully sympathy for inflicting pain on another person, period. Pregnant women that drink / use drugs. I'm a NICU RN that sees the awful effects to these babies. If you want to F up your own life, then fine. Don't you dare drag an innocent child into it. People who complain about barely making it to their next paycheck and order 3 Uber Eats meals a day. People who bring infants to movie theaters. Coming from someone with quite significant mental issues, I empathize, but do not sympathize for people blaming bad / inappropriate behavior on mental illness. Your mental health can be a reason but not an excuse for poor behavior. If you are aware of your mental issues, you need to take the proper actions to act appropriately and/or take accountability for your actions. Yes, mental illness 10,000% affects how you think and act, but it is also your job to take accountability rather than blaming your inappropriate behavior on something that you know you have to work around. There are obviously exceptions when it comes to very serious mental illnesses that are not controllable, but if you are at that point, you should be taking steps to work on / with it to keep yourself and others safe. But at the end of the day, other people should never be treated poorly just because you have a mental illness.